Welcome to News from the Heart. I am Heather George. I am so honored to be with my guru and a teacher to many people, Swamiji. And today I wanted to talk to you, Swamiji, about, in general, about Havans. Specifically, I've been with you for about 7 years, and I've noticed just in that short time that it's become a more integrated part of your regular practice. So just a little bit about your evolution in your practice, and then for people who don't know what a Havan is, I don't think we need to go over the long history, but at least a little bit of a comparison about what's unique and different about Havans, why you're doing that compared to many of the other beautiful rituals.
Havans are about connecting with, building relationships with, and ultimately working with conscious energies that are beyond the realm of the earth.
How are they different than other cultures' practices of what I would say doing the same thing as that?
There's no difference. I mean, first of all, tell me what other cultures we might be referring to, because I don't think there's any other cultures. Maybe Siberian shamans might do something similar. I have no idea. I've never met a Siberian shaman. I've never met anybody who's ever met a Siberian shaman, and I don't know what they do.
Well,
And further, American Indians, I don't think they do anything like this. I don't think there's a real fire offering emphasis in American Indian spirituality, though, anything is possible, and maybe some of them did.
So maybe the difference is that it wasn't a fire offering. I'm just more referring to when you talk about a Havan is connecting us to those energies that are not in and of this earth. I think of many cultures having different rituals that...
Yeah, it's possible, but, within the tantric tradition, offerings into the fire is essential to that part of the program.
And that's something that makes it pretty unique as far as you know it. Gotcha.
Right. Creating those relationships and sustaining those relationships with powerful spirits who will then, respond to your requests is the point of a Havan.
Can you tell me a little bit about what you've experienced as you've increased your practice, what you've personally witnessed or experienced in your life? Because it seems like you do them more and more and more. Like in the last few years, I've seen you do more Havan than...
Well, part of that is because, we were talking earlier today, I used to teach class 6 days a week for 16 straight weeks on the vineyard in Cambridge. And before that, sometimes I'd teach it 2 times a day, or even 3 times a day, 16, for like 7 straight years. And now I do it once on a Saturday. I think, holy smoke, I just got swung into a brick wall. Splat. Class is like a Havan. In class, the offering is me, the fire is me, and the higher energies, and use me. In other words, I'm kind of a higher energy highway, and use me to do the work that they want to do or available to do, because I'm asking them to do it and offering them, on people who are sitting in the room. So, and that's, increasingly demanding of me. In one part because I'm better at it than ever. And so, there's none of the inefficiencies anymore. I just get burned up. So I've sort of shifted my program to doing more Havans because it's less personal, takes less out of me, and I get to enjoy and I get to enjoy the total experience a little more. And I can share that experience with, you know, a lot of people without exactly being hammered in the same fashion. So, and then there's still, I do Havans to, you know, build my relationship with those powers, because I feel like I have not reached the extent of my capacity to engage them. And, well, that's how it goes. You know, and of course then the next step is everybody's going to think, oh, I need to do a Havan, and how can I, you know, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, that's okay. You can try. I, you know, think that's okay. Everybody can start doing their own Havans, and I'll be happy for that. That'll be a big relief, actually. But
is that literally? I mean, I'm thinking of the words "playing with fire."
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
So you would be happy? I'm wondering if you need to warn us young ones who don't know what we're doing to mess with that stuff.
Well, I think, you know, the problem is with it that if you don't really know what you're doing, then you risk getting kicked for doing it. So.
Yeah.
But even so, look, the reason why I said it the way I said it just now is because now that we're talking about Havans, which nobody has ever asked me about before, I think is pretty interesting. But finally somebody asked me, and I was just thinking the other day, this very question, and wondering if I should talk about it on video. So I think you guys have sussed out the question that's floating around in the air. But, you know, there's no doubt in my mind that the people who watch these videos aren't going to pay a bit of attention to any of the caution that I might express.
You guys aren't going to listen to him?
Engage. And they're not going to pay a bit of attention to my cautions. And there's going to be some people who are going to run out there and headlong just start trying to do something.
Oh goodness! Well, for the 1% who might listen to you, will you give us?
And the main thing is that then they will start to attract all the wrong spirits and build, you know, all the wrong connections, which will then, if they ever come to the point where they recognize that before they self-destruct, you know, they will have to take down, they'll have to undo a whole bunch of stuff before they can start to redo it right. You know, we're so conditioned to believe, first of all. We are conditioned to believe. We as Westerners need to believe. And all tantric practice and ultimate liberation transcends any belief. And, you know, we have this sense of right and wrong that is totally entangled with our need to believe. And there's no such thing as right and wrong. You know, there's structure and there's flow. And the whole notion of right and wrong is, you know, energy going to structure is wrong. Well, in that case, that also means belief is wrong. You know, we think about doing harm, and when we think about wrong, blah, blah, blah. Well, the ultimate harm is building structure, building walls. Mm-hmm. So it's about flow, which is taking down boundaries, but, you know, that takes, most people never going to get that. So then you invoke these powerful spirits, and they play in your, you know, how do spirits impact people? They play with our minds. They tell us shit that's wrong. We do it, get smashed in the head, feel terrible. They suck all that energy, all that pain and all of that embarrassment and all of the anger and the frustration. They just suck it up. And then when they're done and you feel better, they whisper some more shit in your ear, and you go out and slam your head into a wall again and start the process all over. And most people live, you know, like that. Well, if we start bringing in really powerful spirits that have no, you know, no appreciation for our ethical and moral sensibilities.
What spirit has appreciation for our ethical and moral responsibility?
None.
Okay.
But some are very peaceful.
Don't
And
have
so-
malicious.
So it's not that they don't have malicious, they're just peaceful, they don't really need anything from us. And so they're just around and nice. But, you know, any spirit that's gonna do anything positive for us needs to eat. And they're gonna, you know, so that's why we do pujas. But you start to invoke some like more powerful spirits through, you know, sort of the offering of any kind of strong energetic substance, then, you know, if you haven't learned how to transcend their play and deal with them on their own basis, then they will definitely screw with you.
I would get much more out of coming to a Havan with you or the
Right
practitioners who do this practice regularly than attempting to do it on my own.
Right now, I think that's true. And I think that until you come to a place, I mean, first of all, there's sort of, you know, a natural progression of the event, and people who need to do it on their own, you know, there will be a mechanism for people to learn that and for this to, like, be carried forward. This kind of practice and understanding to be built. And I have no intention of just keeping it for myself. You know, but even now, the thing is, like even now, there are a few people who were formerly students of mine who didn't get it then. You know, most of the people who so-called students of Rudy's are people who, you know, bought into, they got sucked up in the idea that somehow they had to be a teacher and that the goal was being a teacher, which is crap. The goal is to be ourselves, truly, completely, essentially ourselves. That is the goal. Being a teacher is a big obstacle to being ourselves.
What about being a student? And the best teachers are still humbled and staying students, yeah?
Well, that's the primary, you know, that's what I have always said. This is the safeguard. If you think of yourself always as a student, then you're always going to be real with yourself about, you know, about the work that you need to be doing for yourself. And then being a teacher is not, you know, any kind of an elevated position. It's just simply us sharing our own experience with people who sincerely request. Being a student is really important, and continuing to respect and, you know, hold the teachings that you have received is an essential part of the process of developing yourself. And that's reasonable.
And I see you surrounding yourself. I mean, Rudy passed, so he's not able to be physically, you're not able to be physically near him, but you've literally brought Professor Sanderson near you, you've brought Lama Wangdu near you, you surround yourself with your teachers, you go to India and seek out people to learn from.
Well, but I think the other thing is, too, that, you know, I have been, if you're really doing it right, if you're really growing, then what happens is that as you complete one stage in your life, you attract authentically the opportunity to develop the next stage. But here's the trick in that, which people don't get. You know, so I have people who come here, and then they think, and they work, and they get something, and then they think, oh, now I'm cool, and I'm going to go on to the next thing, and my next thing, the next thing is usually they become, not that they have a new thing to study, but that they have something to teach. And then they blow up their relationship with me in this place and think, oh, you know, now I'm too cool for that, and I don't need that, and blah, blah, blah. And this is just the dumbest, egotistical bunch of crap I could ever hope to hear. You can't, go from one step to the next step and blow up the first step and expect that the bridge that you've been trying to build to heaven is actually going to stand.
Nice. I could ask a million more questions, but hopefully at this point you have a bit of an idea of not only what a Havan is, but why Swamiji has been refining his practice through Havan, and they are available to the public now, which is something fairly new as well. I think it's gotten bigger, well, not in general, but I've seen
we
here.
Pretty much, we used to do them twice a year. I used to do public Havans twice a year, and I used to bring the priests, primarily from the Hindu temple in Malibu, but also, and they invited, well, there's Prashad in New York who's wonderful, and there's a couple of guys, one guy in Pittsburgh and another guy in D.C. who've been here before. And, the South Indian Brahmins are wonderful at what they do. It's just that the style of Havan, I stopped doing that and started doing more my own because they're Brahmins, and I'm a tantric practitioner. And so, the focus and the purpose of doing a Havan is different for them than it is for me. Mm-hmm. And while ultimately there are many similarities, both of process and of objective, they're not exactly the same. And so I do it myself for everyone now. And my friend Surendra Beer, who came and we just did the City Lakshmi Havan, I do as part of the process with a little different twist to it. And the twist is that, and I explained this earlier in person to some people, that, I have done that City Lakshmi Havan many times in many lifetimes, and I've done it many times with Surendra Beer. And I had especially the experience the other night of doing that Havan with everyone. And, it was the first time that practice, that kind of Havan, that puja has ever been done in public. Ever. And I did it like that with the feeling, because I had the feeling whoever came was someone, whether I knew them or not, and I was really surprised at how many people showed up that I'd never seen before. But I felt like whoever came was someone that I had some past life connection with and whom I may have at some point in my journey through this earth shared that same experience with in the royal palace in Nepal or in some other place in Kashmir or in Maharashtra in India. So, and it was really a pretty magical moment. So I was very pleased with all of it. And while it is not at this point exactly in the same trajectory as my sadhana, it's not exactly the same ritual practice, and it is quite a bit more elaborated than I'm accustomed to. I love doing that practice, and I love all of the flavors of it, and certainly the transcendent experience of it, and it was very just profoundly beautiful.
It was so, and I thought I was going to be in clinic and miss it, and my last patient canceled because they wanted to go to this Havan.
Huh, how funny.
So at the last minute, I literally was in clinic going, I could go to the Havan.
Great.
So I agree that there are karmic forces that pull this all
How funny.
together.
That's great.
I hope all of you at some point can come and participate with us in some of these practices here at the Movement Center. I really could ask so many more questions. When you are able to witness a Havan and see, I think, both the elaborate and the essential work that's being done there, the beautiful energy that's being cultivated, you'll have a better understanding, but I hope this section helped you have a better understanding too.